Right, so let's just have a look at all the basic chords, which I'm sure you already know, but there's not many, so it won't take long. So we can produce an E minor, which is probably most useful, by removing all the notes of the D major triad by blocking them out with our fingers in the block and strum style. And so if we put them on this string here, which is the thickest one and closest to our head, that's the D, and when we just rest our finger on it lightly to remove it, to mute it out, and then we reach over and get the F sharp, which is the next string but one, so it's every other string we're putting our fingers on. So this one and that one, and then the next every other string is the A, which we also mute out, so that's the notes of the D triad gone. So we get an E minor. Now if we move that down one string, the whole thing, closer to the floor, so we've now got this finger on the second thickest string, the one second closest to our head, and then this one over here, and this one here, every other one. Again, that gives us the D major, because we've muted out the notes of the E minor triad, the E note, and the G, and the well, the other one is the B. So we've got two chords there just by moving our fingers across. And the other one, which is nice, is the G. And so we can get that one by going to our E minor, so thickest string, the one closest to our head, we mute out, and then every other string thereafter. In order to get a G, all we have to do is move this one, move our index finger down one string towards the floor to be beside our middle finger here, and that produces us a G. So we got three there. And the other one, which is a bit of a sweat to get to, is we can produce an A sort of power chord here by putting our fingers, muting out the middle two strings like so, and then the highest and lowest, and that gets us kind of an A. Now that's not all that many chords, admittedly, but we can add to the textures a lot by using suspensions thereof, by shuffling our fingers about to add and subtract other notes from the scale. So a classic example of this is to hammer on, as it were, with each finger in turn while strumming. So you start out with this finger here, which is the lowest note, the one on the thickest string, the one closest to your head. You take it out so it can ring, so we get a D string underneath our E, which on the face of it sounds a bit funny, but then if we re-mute that one almost immediately, and we get quite a nice sort of bass movement going on underneath. We can do it with the next one, a little bit more sort of edgy, and this one, rather nice. And we can do them all three in turn. So it's climbing up this little scale of suspensions within the chord. So vary up the timings and the strumming patterns and so on to use those simple suspensions and shapes in quite a lot of different musical contexts. We can do it with our D chord here, so you move the whole thing over, muting out every other string down towards the floor, give our D, and we can hammer on, add and subtract this E note here, so it goes da da, so it comes up above, but it doesn't quite sound like that because it's all sort of rather nicely melted into the chord. Next one. And it just sort of keeps rolling up and down. We'll put the two together. Quite rapidly starts to sound like something you know, more colourful than one would expect, given the fact we've only got 6 notes to play with. Another quite nice suspension is we've got our G chord, which is these two here. The next two are immediately under the lowest note. So in scale terms, it's the E and the F sharp and the B up here, so sorry, the A up here, so we're muting those out, so we get our G. And then I like your ring finger here, the one that's on the A note, I like to sort of just waggle it on and off a few times. It gives it sort of quite sort of spacious sort of sound. When you're heading to a sort of destination chord, so we can use these sort of together. So and that was all pretty random and just sort of cramming a lot of finger motion in there, so hence the sort of the bloopers. But it just goes to show that you start moving around, you start to find nice combinations of notes